you're getting these dreams, and you're in other realms, you're seeing creatures that you only hear about. You will dismiss so much that if someone else doesn't validate it, maybe it's not it. They're giving you a gift of servanthood. You need to go through every corner of being hurt.
Dumelang Sanmanani, hello. Hi, welcome back to Conversations with Muhle and happy Heritage Month once again. Today we've got someone who is in the know when it comes to African spirituality, knowing your heritage. Nje, like we're about to be educated today, guys. We've got Ukatli. Well, I call you Katli, but introduce yourself, please.
Hi everyone, I am Katlego Moitse. Born and bred in Soweto, and yeah, one day
That's
at a
just
time
you.
until I got here.
That's just you. Okay, we're gonna start with a smallangana this or that,
Okay.
just to get you in the hang of things. It's a more of a African spirituality this or that.
Okay.
So it's not your normal this or that. Yeah, amadlozi wako can give you HIV because you're not listening. Burning incense or lighting candles.
It depends. Honestly, depends where you are and who you're trying to channel.
Okay.
So, with burning of incense, we are diverse. So sometimes burning incense gets you closer. The people with lineages that go up to go with Indian descendants, so that brings them closer.
Okay.
During this time of finding myself, I found out that I've got white heritage, and every now and then I have to have a little brain and just to invent that part of my ancestry. So it's very diverse.
Okay, go. We're already getting into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you wouldn't be able to choose. It's a.
It depends. So with communication, it all depends on this receiving end. At some point you will light a candle, and intuition will say, okay, switch that on, or bring me a glass of water. Sometimes you don't bring a glass of water, it's just you and wine. Sometimes I it depends on your mindset at the time and your communication. I get some days where I have like a wine, libikiri, like the what you call this, the zinc cup.
Okay.
That for me is a level of communication. At some point I have a chat with them like they're my friends, and I'm sitting there in my
Girl,
on my
survival your life.
and I'm like,
Some of us fear them ancestors. Anyway, dream interpretation or reading bones.
for me right now, I think reading bones is something that for now.
Okay,
It,
so
it's a mystery for me, because hey, being the dreamer, being the dreamer, it gets hectic because you feel like you're in two different worlds. Dreamland, you are that, you see things, you experience things, and you come and then you have to explain. I was having a conversation with another friend of mine. I was like, at some point I can't even tell people, I can't even jot down my dreams because they are so crazy. They're so
they're
crazy.
wild. You don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Okay, sacred water or sacred herbs?
Sacred water. I'm a
Sacred
sucker for
water.
water.
Okay. We're gonna get into that. Wearing spiritual beads or wearing traditional attire?
A bit of both. A bit of both. You know, with attire, I feel like with attire, it's a lot less. It's a lot less crazier. With attire, you can on a random day find someone wearing Savenda or Strauss or anything, and when you turn around and look, it's like you have a look of admiration. Or this one thing I picked up. But the minute, with the misconceptions and everything that's going on, the minute people see you with beads,
Ish, it's like
there's
okay.
usually Skinner. So we're getting there, slowly but surely getting there. But yeah.
Okay, and then full moon rituals or new moon rituals? I don't even know the difference, but we'll get into that.
For me, full moon rituals have been working a bit, so I'd say full moon rituals. And the fact that you feel like crap just before, so
Just before the full moon.
before the full
Okay.
moon.
And then ancestral altar setup or sacred space in nature?
No, sacred space in nature.
Sacred space in
Sacred
nature.
space in nature. You get so
Mm,
many answers by just sitting there
mm,
and just wallowing yourself within. It's peaceful and you connect on a better level. Because remember, the altar setting, there's still the whole umuzi, like for instance here,
mm.
your ancestors are reigning here because Tatako probably had a ceremony of some sort to say,
This is
this is
our
where I
home.
reside, and yeah, my kids, my lineage is here. But now with nature, it's everyone's game. Even for those people who maybe don't know their paternal side or are in question about certain things, in nature you can call anyone. You just call spirits of the light because we don't want any darkness.
Okay.
Spirits of the light, and everyone comes there and you get so many answers. Go na le badimo ba ko thabeng, that you call upon them in the fields. So secret, yeah,
Okay.
sacred space in nature,
Okay.
definitely.
Drum circle or chanting circle?
I'm still trying to survive around drums, but drums.
You're not surviving around them.
You sit there and when you're hearing drums, they just invoke something in you, and you're like,
Mm.
when you're around people, you're like, breathe,
Mm.
breathe.
Okay.
But yeah, drumming, because I'm one person, my brain is everywhere, all over the show. So with chanting, I get easily distracted. You'd be like,
Oh,
oh yeah.
okay.
So drumming. Even when I look back now, during my teenage years, I got into an era where I was listening to rock,
Mm.
and I didn't understand why. But now that I
You
sit and
get
know
it
that
with
the
it was the
drums, it was the
drums.
drums, it was the
Okay.
drums. Even now, I still go back and I'm like, yeah.
Okay. So let's get into it because I think we're already there and the person who's watching can sort of get an idea ukuthi where are we headed. I want to speak about Katlego growing up. What was your main belief system at home? What did you guys believe in?
Oh, okay. So I have to delve into my background, which is a
Mm.
bit of a mess. So, um, I was born. Yeah, I was born at the time my mom was 19.
Mhm.
Yes, I was born, and she still a school kid, still fairly young, just yeah, living with her aunt at that time,
Mm.
her paternal aunt. So she gives birth. So here's this 19-year-old pregnant. Obviously, the family's gonna come together.
Mm.
This one is gonna bring that. This one is gonna bring this. To find out, I was not even named by her or my grandmother. I was named. I was named by my my aunt. Yes, my aunt-in-law. Yes, she
Mm.
was like, no, you must name her Katlego. She's gonna bring beautiful things. She's gonna be, success into the family. And then that's how
Okay.
I was named Katlego. So when that information goes to my paternal side, because my maternal paternal side, they literally live just different blocks of the same area.
Okay.
So my great grandmother was like, okay, her name is Katlego first name, but can I give her a second and third name?
Mm.
Then I get a second and third name. Second name is Clotilda. Third name is Queen.
What do those names mean?
So
What language is it first?
Clotilda, I learned it was a Russian name. Apparently,
Okay.
there was a slave ship named
Mm.
Clotilda. So I was like, wow, okay. But how she got a whiff of the name of it was a white family that she used to work for. So there was a Clotilda there. So she's like,
I
I
like
might
the
take.
name.
So she gave a child. Well, no, my great grandma gave my aunt, which is her grandchild, that name. They were twins.
Mm.
The one who was named Clotilda actually passed away when she was 10.
Okay.
So she was Clotilda Queen. So she passes away, and then a couple of years later, my other aunts have kids, and they're all boys, and then I come, the
Mm.
little
And then,
girl. So she's like, rightfully so, as
so
the
it's sort
first
of like a reincarnation of the.
reincarnation,
Okay.
So with the reincarnation, I don't know if it was her understanding that whatever my aunt's mission was to be on this earth, I will have to carry on with that mission, or it was just purely the fact that here's a daughter that she's never really got to experience because the child passed away. So let me just, So I was named after someone else. Cool. I grow up. My world is a bit different. My world is a bit different because I get sent from pillar to post. People fight over me all the time. Like there was a time where I used to live with this grandmother, and then the other grandmother's like, "No, you can't live with her." And then they would come, uproot me, take me there. So nekibakwa a lot, a lot, and that is of significance because it's getting to even where I am right now. So nyabawa, hey, I'm being taken from pillar to post, right? Until Mama, the one that I live with, was like to my grandfather, I'm taking your child and I'm taking her into her kids. I'm taking her kid. At that time, Lebo was not there. Yeah, I'm taking her kid because, wow, one has to start school, but she can't do that because we're sending her for pillar to post. She stays here for 2 months. She stays here for 3 months. So I'm going to take her for stability. And she was a teacher at that time. So she's like, you know what? Don't stress. I will enroll her at my school. And then, yeah, life will go on. That's how I ended up in Dobsonville.
Okay.
Grew in Dobsonville. So I was a outgoing child. I was an outgoing child. That child was everywhere.
Ngwana
Strateg.
Okay.
Party. Chicago, I was there. I was there. Mukusha, I was there. I was that child. But I also had a curiousness of how things worked. How things work. I got kicked out of Sunday school.
Okay.
So
you were deep. Already kicked out of Sunday school
because of my
wow.
So endlini singama church Anglican, right? Anglican, but other siblings by my grandfather, so it was diverse. So why did Mama actually decide to go Anglican was because my dear mother, which is my great grandmother, nearly Igosa as a church.
Okay.
So she ended up when she was no longer at church with everyone else. I let her in clean. So
wait, so what is Ikosa? My grandmother would be so ashamed of me right now because we are originally from Anglican, but I don't know anything.
It's a church leader.
Oh, okay.
So one of the elders. So now because of that, so she being old and stuff. When she went back home, she then had she used to have services Anglican at home. So some decided when they got married to go their ways, but Mama was like, no, I'm staying to Anglican because that's where we are.
That's where you are.
So Sakula. So with growing up, one of my grandfather's sisters had the calling. How she did things, right?
Okay.
But
it was never in your mind.
It was a case of okay, this thing is there, but whatever,
Okay, so you had someone who was going to, you had family members who were going to church, and then you also had someone who was prophet.
But she was going to church.
Or she was going to church. Okay.
So she was going to church. So every now and then, on a Saturday, she'd call a service, a church service. So and some of us like one of the garments.
Yeah.
So you go to church, on a particular Saturday, people are going to come over.
There's going to be a church
there's
service.
Going to be a service of some sort, and then it's cheers and whatnot. But you don't see that as not being normal.
Not being normal, because it's happening in your home. So
yeah. So growing up, it was like, okay, cool. Every now and then I'd have weird dreams. I'd tell her about it. She'd get all excited. Explain to me what they mean, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Life goes on.
And every now and then you'd hear voices, strange occurrences, and the ones like Umama at home would dismiss them so much, like, no man, it's your imagination. There's no such. It's this. Don't worry about it. Maybe you watched horror movies too much. Sorry. So, in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I'm reading too much into things because I overthink. I'm one person who overthinks a lot. So I'm like, no, I'm overthinking. taking me back to an incident. So my mom passed away when I was turning 8. Yeah, when I was turning 8, and my little sister was like a year and a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a kid, no one explains anything to you. Like, mama, nalo, you saw whatever. Or good and well. I remember this one time in primary school after, like the year after. So she passed away in 98. I think it was in 99. On the 1st of December, which is ironically my birthday. On the 1st of December, so they had this candlelight, a candlelight ceremony for survivors of HIV.
Okay.
Right? So everyone is sitting there, like it's like we're singing,
Mm.
and I remember a voice said to me, what you gotta do. You have to do it so that, you can make other people feel, oh, it's okay and not be ashamed. So when they're like, no, anyone who's had someone who passed away from HIV or AIDS, can you please light a candle? I literally stood up, lit a candle. My mom almost died. Mama almost died. I don't know if it was embarrassment or the thought of who told this girl what was going on. I'm 9 years old at the time. I am 9 years old at the time.
And no one has ever told
no
you
one has
anything.
ever said anything. I'll be home. The conversation. So she's like, what is that? So I was like, I literally looked at dead in the eye, and then I said, I know. I know that this person passed away from this. And she's like, but how do you know? Who told you? I was like, no one. It was just the voice that told me. So with that, I think it was really like early revelations of this gift of me having this information that I didn't know where it came from. So I was like, fine, that situation happened. I don't know if it was before or after. There's another situation where I literally caught umtagati, if you may, red-handed, and I'm a child at that time. So everyone is sleeping. It was a wedding in Kimberley. Oh, it's a 10 room. Everyone's sleeping everywhere. In the middle of the night, I don't know what woke me up. I woke up, and the buckets, like for houses that have toilets outside, they usually
there's a bucket for you to
at least
pee.
That time, I went outside. It was dark, but I was like, no, I'm going outside. I went outside. As I was about to go to the toilet, no man, I noticed someone sweeping, and I'm like, but how do you sweep this late at night? I look at this woman. I'm like, there ain't no way I'm going to the toilet. Then I turn. I went back. I tried waking up someone older to explain. They didn't dismiss me. I remember I was the flower girl for that wedding. In the morning while we were getting ready, I told Mama, I was like, there's a lady who did this and that and that. I don't know if it's normal, but I don't know. I just got a weird vibe. I just got a weird feeling about it. And she's like, no, man, it's just you. Then during the wedding celebrations, that lady came out with the same broom and broomed, and I was like, no,
this is the woman that I saw.
This is the woman. And I kept on pulling the bride. She's my aunt. I kept on pulling the bride. I'm like, this woman was doing this yesterday, and people were trying to dismiss me. And now when the marriage ended, and now things are coming out, oh no, there was an extra hand involved and whatnot. And I kept on saying, but
I told you. Could have prevented it. Okay. Wow. And at what age do you recall yourself remembering or discovering that you actually have a gift and this gift needs to be paid attention to, worked on? Yeah.
The thing is, I've always known I was different, but the gift that I thought I had was being an intelligent person and solving issues. So in my head, it was all me, all my intelligence.
I'm the smart
knew.
girl in the family.
I just knew. But I would get these funny dreams, and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? You're getting these dreams, and you're in other realms. You're seeing creatures that you only hear about. you see creatures and you're like, does that even exist?
Mm.
And you wake up and you try to tell people around you, they look at you like you're crazy. So I think I literally just didn't really pay attention to it, but in primary school there were occurrences that happened, and for me I just dismissed. But the one event in my life that triggered everything, that just put everything on a standstill, was
Mm.
during COVID.
Okay.
One of my uncles passed away during COVID, and I think that was my awakening. That
Mm.
was my awakening when everything just went full circle for me. Yeah, so I think the first time that as an adult or as a person I could decipher that no, it's not me being
It's not.
intelligent. I had
Mm.
wished, but yeah,
It's
it
not
was then.
that. Hmm. And how do they take it at home? Because I mean, you've been dismissed your whole life.
Yeah,
Now people have to actually come to terms with this, and
that's,
something needs to be done about it.
you know, it's still taking a lot. It's still taking a lot. It's still taking a lot. That the one thing this gift does, especially when it's building you up,
Mm.
it also breaks you off chains that they deem unnecessary,
Mm.
and relationships that are not beneficial for you, they will take you out of them, even with
Mm.
family, even with family, because of my gift. I've gotten to a point where I've been kicked out of home. I've been held in meetings and meetings and meetings. I was having conversations with my son, and I realized the last time, like the last 5 times I've actually really, really cried, was not from a heartbreak of a guy or anything, but it was
Mm.
from family and the interactions.
Hmm.
So it gets that deep, and it with that situation where some of them are literally killing this little confidence that you have, because I'm one person. I've always had abandonment issues from parents passing away and everything in my life, right? So I was always the child that I needed validation.
Mm.
I needed validation because something from outside needs to show me that I'm special before I can
You
see it.
can
Because
know that you're actually special.
yes, because
Mm.
I've been dismissed so much that if someone else doesn't validate it, maybe it's not it. It was that, and the one thing, this gift, that I realized, all your insecurities, they will deal with you. You can't
Mm.
just, because it plays on your insecurities. It will put you in situations where you need to face your insecurities, you need to face your fears, you need to face all the little demons that you have.
Mm.
Because one day, how it was explained, one day when you have a patient that's going through that, you need to
You
have
need to
lived
understand.
experience. You need to have lived the experience so that you are able to then have empathy to say, what, I understand where you're coming from. I really, really do.
So there is izangoma, there's a medium, there is umprofeti, there's so many things that exist in African spirituality.
Mm.
Where do you fall under, and how do you discover ukuthi this is where I actually fall under?
Oh, yeah. That one.
Yeah, I realized I needed to ask that because someone who's probably watching doesn't get.
Mm.
They can hear which we keep speaking about the gift,
The
but
gift, but what
what is the
gift?
gift?
Okay, so I call myself a double barrel. So from my mom's side,
Mm-hmm.
they've got the gift of prayer, utandazeli, a prophet.
Okay.
And on the dad's side, it's all the mambo jumbo, the sangoma situation is on that
Mm.
side. But now that I'm discovering from my mom's side of the family, Ikela, yes, Nakatsupe. We then understanding that I've got great grandmothers who were working that journey. So
Mm.
Ikela, it's the herbalists. So
Okay.
they will dream of getting maybe that tree and they mix it with stuff. So what usually happens, you go to a person willing Ikela, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be like, "Ah, I'm suffering from a toothache. Yeah, so before I discovered the toothache, yeah, there's also headache, this, that, and then again, and then mixes
So
those.
basically, like a pharmacist.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, traditional
A traditional
pharmacist.
pharmacist.
So there's the traces of that again in my mom's side of the family, and now with doing a bit of history, I'm also then discovering that there's a bit of Khoisan ancestry there. So it's yeah,
So
it's a
how do you
lot.
balance all of that? I can imagine just being an ordinary person. Life is already difficult to balance.
Yes,
How do you now balance? There's this voice. I'm guessing it's voices. There's this voice. There's this voice, and all of that, for you to be able to lead a life where you know what this is what I'm gonna do.
earlier on I said, yeah, there's a lot of them, but you manage. You get to a point where you understand who's present at that time,
Mm,
and when they present, the more you communicate with them, the more you realize, okay, this one likes this one likes that.
mm.
But in the beginning, yeah,
It was a mess.
it's a mess. It's a mess. The emotions, you'd wake up happy, and then 2 minutes, one of them comes grumpy, and you become grumpy out of nowhere. The mood swings are
Mm.
crazy.
Mm.
The mood swings are crazy, but you manage. So at some point, for me, for instance, if I take long periods of times without Upahla,
Mm.
I wake up, they wake me up in the middle of the night. So if I'm gonna be stubborn and say today and
I'm
easy,
not doing it.
I'm gonna stay up until 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I'll stay up awake because
You don't
clearly it's
want to. Mm.
this battle of the titans.
If we were to give you a title, I'm guessing we would give you the title of Isangoma.
I'll only get the title once I cross over the petrol situation. But
Okay.
yeah,
So take us through that process. What happens? Firstly, how do you find your what would they call them? Your
Kobela,
initiator, ikobela yakho. How do you find ikobela yakho? And what do you then do? Without of course revealing
too
too
much.
much. You can, yeah.
Okay, so so you will dream. Okay, so the different ancestors communicate differently. Some, as you said, you it comes off as intuition. So you think you're imagining or thinking of stuff, but
Mm.
it's them actually talking to you, giving you solutions. So there's that, there's dreaming.
Mm.
I know I'm a dreamer. So they will show you puzzle forms. They will show you either that person's Ndumba, or that
Mhm.
person or that person's face or features. They keep on reiterating that this is the person that you need to go to. This is the person you need to go to, and then once that happens, the best thing for me would be you reach out to this person, maybe book a consultation, because
Mhm.
I believe that if they show you, for instance, let me make an example. If they show you Katlego, then they need to show Katlego that you're coming
Mhm.
in the truest sense. Because remember, that relationship of us seeing that so I have to initiate you.
Mhm.
Our ancestors make
Already
the
made an
pact
agreement.
first, yes.
Mm.
So
Okay.
once that pact is done, signed, sealed, and delivered, then in as much as they show me, they also have to show you some sort.
Mhm. So how do you differentiate between actually being shown by your ancestors and someone who's luring you in because maybe they see, because
They do,
I've
they
heard
do.
quite a lot of things where a person will lure you in for you to be under the assumption that actually this is where you're supposed to be going.
True. Communication and patience. The one
Mm-hmm.
thing I realize is that most of us get lured in because the wait before the actual thing is hectic.
Mm.
So for us to run away from the pain for that you go through during the wait,
Mm.
the first thing that you see as a resemblance of you need to go, you take it. And unfortunately, some people have been burnt for that.
Mm.
Yeah, because you will go there. And in life, honestly, in life, it is better not to do something than to do it wrong and having to fix it. So now
Okay.
most people will then, because they're not patient enough, they will go through to a certain gobela only to find out that this gobela used because eh,
Mm.
people use anything and everything nowadays to lure people in because now it's also a business.
Mm.
Unfortunately, to being told, some people see it as okay, if I have 10 trusses, then I have X amount of
Then
money, and if I've got X amount of money, I
I
can
can do
afford this,
this
then
and
and the
this and
other.
that. Mm.
Not understanding that while you do that and you are poaching people that were not supposed to be yours, how much damage that you're actually doing to them. That's the saddest thing.
Okay, so you then go and you get a consultation with this person, and once you've had that consultation, what then happens after the consultation? There are people who actually go and live with the person. There are people who don't live with the person who will maybe come weekends and all of that. But how do you get to that point of knowing that you now have to leave your home for X amount of time?
Okay, so after the consultation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The confirmation in the bone reading will then
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, this is the person. Everyone's in agreement that this is the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, different strokes for different folks, but there's some gobelas who are, for me, I feel like they're transparent enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna put you through a road show just to explain the rules and regulations,
Mm-hmm.
and once that is done, person will then give you maybe a month or two just to gather your stuff and just to fix your stuff because most of us, there's a lot of things that we need to do before you actually get into Epiphany. You know, at some point, you fix this and that. So, honest gobelas understand that you won't just, after this consultation, I go home, I pack my bag.
Mm.
First and foremost, elders in your family to bring you, gathering those people, ensuring that, everyone is in agreement. That at some point takes time. So once that consultation is done and it is confirmed, then wawuphahlela to say, you know what, Mtana is here and we get it, we're giving her an X amount of time. And then before the X amount of time is done, then she's going to come back and then she's on fire, you know, simply. And then once that is done, then you come then with your bags and everything and the list that they write for you on all the things that you're going to need. Then once that is done, when you have bought everything on the list, then you come with your parents, elders, yeah. Then bayakufaka, then yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people have, I'm not sure if you have experienced this, but during the period between going epichleni and being at home, or probably being in denial and having to go epichleni, there's a lot of suffering, whether it be financially, emotionally. There's a lot of suffering that is there. So now my question then becomes, elders are supposed to love you and cater for you. A person who's giving you a gift it should be uguti, you are giving me this gift because it's going to help me somehow help others. Even if I'm meant to help others, there must be something that I am benefiting as well. So now, why would you want to make me suffer for me to get that gift?
The one thing that the gift is, as for me, summing up the gift in all different aspects and ways, they're giving you a gift of servanthood. And being a servant means that you are going to see it. You're going to go through the worst of the worst of the worst of situations because when I was talking to my late grandmother, Olu Prophet, she used to say, as someone who is going to be in a space of healing people, you need to go through every corner of being hurt so that you know how to heal that person who's hurt in that capacity. And the one thing that you need to know is she made an analogy of a carpet. Oh, this is who you are. You need to be aware that everyone who can should you must allow people to step all over you because the tolerance level, the patience, it needs to ground you. That's how she used to be. So I think even that on that side, they're also showing you that you are more than you think you are. Because remember, we think life without money. right? It's not a life at all. But they're trying to strip you even of that dependence on anything and everything, so that you are able to say, hi, Papa, Papa le maotwana. I will survive on that, Because if you can see
Okay.
even the whole situation of being in initiation schools, that they ground you so much that you can't even, without revealing too much, that you're always on your knees. You're always on your knees all the time. All the time. So being a
I'm
servant.
I'm actually I'm actually getting insight on. I feel like to some extent
Mm-hmm.
Christianity and religion, I mean, and African spirituality coexist. Or no, coexist is the wrong word for me to use. They are similar
Okay.
somehow, because with Christians it's assumed, or in most churches it's preached, that you must be a servant. You must be willing to be a servant. There's even a saying that God gives his toughest battle to his strongest warriors and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's the case. Then, if that's the case, and both African people, or people who believe in African spirituality, and Christians have similar experiences, then why are they so divided?
You know, we cannot answer that question without stepping on people's toes, because honestly, as a people, as a black nation, the culture of not dealing with trauma is what got us here today. It needs to go back from slavery. It needs to go back from when Christianity first landed, or when it started. We need to address the hurt and the pain associated with any religion, for any instance, even Islam, for instance, that if and if it did have any sort of impact of bloodshed or whatnot, with it coming this side, it needs to be addressed. Once that is addressed, then we can have honest conversations, because both parties of the debate speak from a sense of pain, speak from a point of view of pain, and we are not going to hear each other, because we'll always have this battle contest. My pain is greater than yours, your pain is greater than mine. Hence, even now, the trend that is going on, even in African spirituality, I feel like we're going through the same thing. That now it's the battle of self-initiate versus
The
people that
Tasai.
went. Yes, that it boils down to, can we address the pain? Can we heal from the pain? Once that is done, then we can have an honest conversation to say, you like blue, I like white. Because of such, my what do you call this? My decisions are based on that. We can't deny the fact that, especially now where we are, most of us have ancestors who went to church, right? Then are coming through church, the church way. Then we've got some ancestors who are ancient warriors back in the day, who are not. If both of these people are in your body, they're not going to speak
They're
the
not
same
going to speak the
language.
same
They're not going to
language.
speak the same language. This one, whenever you're trying to go to church, this one's going to be like, you're not going anyway. And then, vice versa. So when you talk about healing and the impact it had, then probably we can get to the truth, because honestly, irrespective of where you are, there is a God. Irrespective of which spectrum you fall under, there is a God. And the interpretation of what you think God is, that's where everyone goes everywhere.
They're separate ways.
Yes. So now, if we can get to that ground that we all believe there is a God, right? And we need some sort of a source to navigate our lives for us, then the hurt we can deal with, and then we can just, coexist, because
I think it's possible to coexist.
it is, it is, if you can go through social media, these young kids, someone once said, I bumped into it, I think on social media, like I think it was on Twitter, where this person was like, my 2000, if you can look at them and really assess them, ingati, they are they're so possessed is such a word. But
Yeah.
Bangianwe, our great grandparents, like our great great grandparents, the warriors back in the day, like they are so daring, they're so carefree, they're so like they challenge the status quo. They don't just take things at face value. And with people like that, with kids like that are asking the relevant questions, that are challenged in the system, then yeah, we can coexist
We
because
can.
those kids force you to tell them uncomfortable truths. And with that, when you tell someone else the uncomfortable truth, you are left with that uncomfortable truth to deal with it. So I think, yeah, at some point it's going to take a while, but yeah, we might coexist.
Wow. And now, as someone who is told, like maybe I go to church and I'm told that I've got this prophetic gift, and then when I bump into isangoma, they tell me, "Yo, when I isigubhu sakho sikulindile," something like that, and I find out that both are existing in my body, and we're living in a world where both cannot coexist. How do I then, Mina, manage that situation?
First and foremost, the people that have given you a gift,
Mm,
you'll never get an answer from me or else you are residing with the people that gave you the gift, the people that are going to make you understand how the gift operates, what ticks you off, are the people that you're working with, are the people that gave the gift. So you go back, whether shooting some people or you light a candle, whatever works for you, you do that.
mm,
You do that. You're like, you know what, Abakokona Mamkulu, I acknowledge, thank you so much for this gift, but I need more, It's
mm.
Okomang. I need to know which side of the family this comes from.
This dog is gonna
It's
drop
gonna,
my tripod. Okay.
where it comes from, which side, how does it work?
Mm,
In drips and drabs, it will come. In drips and drabs, it will come. Then you'll see, okay, so it's from Ugogo and Ugogo Nedimu to Asambato.
mm,
Cool. Because as it should be different as a people. Some people,
mm,
even a pehleni. That's why I believe that we can coexist.
mm,
A pehleni. Some people start as profitable.
mm,
Church, church situation vibes, on Sundays when they host churches, they sambato.
mm.
And then, once that era is done, then you get into the warrior, other side of the initiation process. So it can coexist. It does coexist. Well, maybe the corners that I live in does coexist.
Okay, and what is your take on Zangoma currently trending? There's trends that there's fake gobelas, there's trends that you're not you don't have a calling, you are depressed, or you suffer from, what do they call, is it schizophrenia or something
Anxiety,
like that? Yeah,
schizophrenia,
all of those
bipolar.
things. Yeah. What is your take on it? And also, because people are played a lot, and it's easy to play someone who's in need. I've once seen a video by Ukoko Skoteni saying, never in your life go to a traditional healer when
When you're
life is a
desperate.
mess. Mm. But then now I'm out here hearing that, hey, I've got this gift, and I mean, my life is a mess. And here I am dreaming about all these things. And every time someone is interpreting these dreams for me, they pointing me into the direction of this. And I'm actually not, I'm just depressed. But everything's just pointing me to that direction. How does a person distinguish between the two? How do you differentiate? You really don't have a gift, you're just sick and you just need help.
The one thing I will tell you, and this is coming from someone who's battled with self confidence for the longest of time, that has needed, external validation. But the one thing I know, and the one thing I'm sure of, no one will tell you you've got a gift without you noticing anything different. Like, you can't live 30 years of your life without seeing anything for someone else to come and say, no, but you've got. There needs to be traces of some sort that you could have seen, no man. And the one thing about the gift in itself, the one thing about the gift in itself is that it will come across as schizophrenia. I mean, how do you explain to anyone that you hear voices in your head to tell you to do something? That's schizophrenia by definition. By
Medical
definition.
doctor will
Or,
prescribe you
you know,
medication for schizophrenia.
most of us have levels of anxiety that are out of this world. Like I've sat down and realized that I've had so many panic attacks that I didn't even know they were panic attacks. Now that I think about it, I was like, oh my gosh. But funny enough, some of those panic attacks were saving me for something that was going to happen. So it's, if by all means you're not sure, there's this gentleman that I follow, Analysis One. He's a clinical psychologist and a psychologist at the same time.
Okay.
Get yourself in those spaces of getting someone who is the best of both worlds. Because therapy, you can never go wrong with therapy. There's so many childhood traumas that most of us are going through. So even if you can resolve the am I gifted or what's going on, you can also then, build yourself, heal yourself. Because for me, for me, a gift is not just by someone, some people's gifts are being teachers and they become exceptional teachers. That because of them, they are doctors and lawyers and everything, and astronauts. So, yeah.
How do you, as someone who is gifted, on Saturday, there's a client that comes who tells you to funukutwala and uyamtwalisa, you do all the voodoo stuff and all of that, all the bad or black magic, if we can use the English term for it. You use all the black magic, and then Sunday uvuka uvula inkonzo ugqoke isembatho sakho. How is there a balance between the two? Because now you literally are contradicting the beliefs of the other gift that you have when you are practicing such.
The minute you start delving on the other side, it becomes a bit difficult. Because then, as you said, you are then closing the other side. Because there's certain imiti that you cannot mix them because they're on the other side. So how do you then today such medicinal plants, and then tomorrow, and then
You wake up
you wanna
and
hold the Bible, you wanna pray on people. You wanna pray on people. I think that was my biggest thing. Even church that I've always had an issue with people holding me
holding
here, like
you.
and I didn't know why, but I was like,
Don't touch me,
don't
like
touch me, because you're not sure. You're not sure what's going on. So I think that's the one trend of modern sangomas that I don't like, is that this was the opportunity. This is the age of learning, the age of knowledge. This was the opportunity to start from scratch and say, hey world, this is what African spirituality is all about. Giyaphileka in African spirituality. Instead, what they're doing for me, it's tarnishing the image that so many sangomas who started, people like Boba Credo Mutu, that they tried to bring light, to shed light without revealing too much, but to shed light on this specific gift, and then one of them, they come and sorry, it's disheartening. People from other races, the first thing that they ask you when they hear about a spiritual journey is twal and stuff like that. You're like,
because it trends. Honestly, it trends, and you see people who would come back. And I remember on Moja Love there was a show. I forgot what the name of that show was. I forgot the name of the show, but there was a specific episode where people who have done that, Abage Batwala, actually came to the show and now explained what that meant. I don't know if they were telling the truth because obviously, must anything for for money and for the views. So they would talk about scariest things like ukuthi uqala ngekundwana, and then you move from ekundwana, you move to inyoka, you move to this, then next thing it's your family members and all of that, and how how much money they had, how much wealth they had, how respected they were, and how having that all gone now meant they had like having to decide whether I can't do this anymore,
Mm.
and then having to lose everything. So it's something that is trending, and unfortunately, I think that's something I can agree with you, Gakulu, on ukuthi the one thing that's trending about African spirituality, or the most trending things about African spirituality, is the bad things. The good things don't trend. It's very rare for it to trend, and because social media is such a huge space, the bad things that trend then make people question the actual thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
now I think another thing that's annoying then what happens because they did whatever they did, right? Now
Mm.
they're up and coming. We put so much pressure on ourselves because, you know, they make it seem like
This
things
is
are
what you
supposed
should
to
be
be, yes,
doing.
in a certain manner if they're not, So what happens? Then people then, there's that much pressure, then they go into these celebrity sangomas,
Mm-hmm.
and then we then wake up one day and they say, oh, they don't have gifts. I mean,
Mm.
it was disheartening at some point where some people have an algozi, where else I trusted so many people. What are you saying about the people who I trusted saying,
Mm.
The authenticity. So it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary that nowadays, because the bad is everywhere,
Mm.
what do we do? Honest normal people, you then go to that one, you're like, no, but you've got more knowledge. Kanti,
Mm.
no, you're not even listening to your intuition anymore. You're not listening to your madlozi anymore. You say, "Oh,
You
Muhle
is
is
trending and
trending,
she
so let
seems
me
to know it
just,
all. Let me just
yes.
do it all. Okay. Okay. And then how do you then balance between African medication and modern medication? Because I mean, people have gone to the extent of even saying you can amadlozi wako can give you HIV because you're not listening and you will be healed after. And I mean, we all know that's not
No.
true. We all know once you got it, you just gotta take the medication. Mm.
So you were saying that the time period before Ungene Pilgrim is
Uh-huh.
always full of suffering. The one thing that we can't shy away from is the fact that some damages can be reversible and some damages can't be.
Mm.
And that unfortunately is one of those damages that you cannot reverse it back,
Okay.
you know? Because when all is said and done, yes, they put you in that position,
Mm-hmm.
but you being in that position, Luana as a human being, there was your will also again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's unfortunate when people will get into accidents or whatever, but you got into that accident, probably they warned you and they warned you and they warned you and they told you and they told you and they told you and didn't do
You
anything
didn't
about it,
listen.
got into an accident and then became disabled. Yes, ungathiwa success, but then if your
Doesn't
spine is
mean
not working, your
ukuthi
spine is not working. Yes, we'll try everything to make your life a bit better. But if ever later the damage is done,
the
finished,
damage is already done.
yeah. So yeah, the part before is crazy.
So then why do people, I mean, I want to understand the level of greed. What goes on to a person's mind where you feel like I just want the money, and even if it means I'm going to lie to people and tell them if you come to me Utwasegimi, you're going to be healed from that HIV, you're going to be healed from that disability and all of that. Is there no longer a conscious that is in that person, or at what point do you, as someone who has experienced similar things or who has gone through a similar journey as those people who are now cruel, if I can put it like that, at what point do you think people lose their consciousness?
Once you start saying, I need to recover the money that I spent, it starts from there.
Okay.
If you're going to want to recover, and lose all empathy, then it starts from there. Because if you have any empathetic bone in your body, you'll understand that the next generation needs to be nurtured. And the mistakes, if we may, or the learning curves that you went through, is not just for you, but it's for you to teach the next generation to do better, to be a bit more cautious. But unfortunately, because of greed, because of people being heartless, they see another person, they see an opportunity, a quick buck, and not understanding how much damage. You hear stories where Mutu will go into a petreni not having money at all, family yakazata,
And
they
the money is just not
try, the
coming.
money is not coming, only to find out that Ugobela, you know, took them for a ride. Those are some of the most saddest things that Mutu eventually then comes out, having had to borrow money from all over the world. Only then, when they're done, they sit at home, not practicing, not doing anything.
And that person still wants their money. They're like,
Yes,
well,
well, you
I
still
want
owe
my
me.
money.
Yeah, you still owe me. You said if you live here, you're going to make money, you're going to pay me back. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I want to get into African spirituality as a whole now, apart from the gift. And I mean, it's September, and on Monday, it was the new year in African spirituality. So take us through what you know about. In fact, what makes you want to learn about being an African before colonialism? Hey, that English word. I hope I said it right.
Honestly, I want to know black people beyond poverty. I want to know black people beyond the heartache, beyond being imbogoto. Can we be soft? Can we? We have always been the race that has suffered the most. Like we suffer, we suffer, we suffer. Everything that you get, you need to fight for it. How's life beyond? And with learning about spirituality as a whole and ancestry, you realize that God and the very, very far back ancestors ensured and made sure everything was there in nature for us. But why is it taking us so long, and why is it such a hassle for us to get the simplest things in life? So that is how I bumped into the whole African calendar and African spirituality thing, that what is a black person minus the trauma? Can we get to that person,
Before the
because
trauma.
we're even thriving with that trauma. So just see us beyond the trauma. That is the one thing that I want to know.
African calendar, what does it consist of? Yeah.
So the African calendar is basically so Africa currently, except for Ethiopia, we're using the Gregorian calendar, right? So I'm guessing Europe, it came with colonization. So the reason why the African calendar makes sense for us is that on the 22nd of September, the sun is on the equator, right? On the 23rd, it's 1 degree to south, so it's coming to us on the southern hemisphere, right? So all the powers and energies are shifting this side.
Okay.
So now that's when your year starts. The first degree, well, when the sun's revolution, it's coming this side. So that's the first, like the beginning of the cycle. Hence, it's the new year. So when you then make a New Year's resolution in January, you're already 3 months,
3 months late.
3 months late, basically.
Okay.
So back in the day, before global warming and everything, you could even see with the weather. You can even see, or this is the time where you know the trying blossoming, what do you call this? The flowers are blossoming, trees and everything. It's the beginning. It's the new cycle, but we were not in alignment with the cycle. So we just January like, yeah, New Year's resolution, and it is like, no, actually, you are a little too late. So apparently, maybe that's why New Year's resolutions
They never actually
never.
work. Where does one go to find such information?
So there's a group that I follow. It's like a movement by the Zinzi Mandela Foundation. It's called GEK. That was the first place that
You found.
I found information. I was like, oh, we've got a calendar. Oh wow, interesting.
Mm.
So basically, when I saw it, I was like, interesting. They've got a calendar, something at least that represents us, for us, by us, you know?
Mm.
And then I found out every year. So, yeah, so on the 23rd, yeah, too many things are going on in my head. On the 23rd is also known as spring equinox.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so spring equinox is describing, it's like the scientific term of describing the whole situation.
Mm.
So, I think, and then in March is the autumn, is it the winter equinox? Yes, I think it's the winter equinox, or is it the autumn equinox? Yeah. So what happens is that if we don't celebrate, like when we, basically how they explain it is, if we don't support ours, we give powers to the colonizers, people, and their energies. So
Okay.
now Easter falls on the other equinox, which is giving power to
Power
them.
to.
And now, I mean, from
We celebrate Easter.
a lot, a lot,
We
a lot,
celebrate
from the
Easter.
diet to everything to bona, you know, fish and everything.
So now my worry is, ne, okay, you studying this African spirituality, you giving yourself more knowledge, but don't you think too much knowledge about something that you were not aware of can lead you to destruction? Because I am imagining now someone who's hearing about this for the first time and is interested. They go on to
Social
GEK, they
media.
go on social media, on Google, they try and find out this information. Is it not information overload? Is it not a form of destruction, or is it what we are supposed to be doing to sort of bring awareness to our generations and generations to come?
I don't think it's distraction. However, it makes you look at your whole life as, you know, you get a wow moment that, who am I actually? You know, am I even here? What's going on? You know?
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. It's not going to make you go crazy. I'll make an example. When I first learned something as simple as the meaning of umakoti,
Yo,
I
yo,
lost my
yo, I
mind.
did.
I lost my mind because I was like, there's
How?
no way. Like, that's my fear. I think Footy, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna
Any
go like
further?
any further. It's fine. I think I'm fine with what I know. Generations to come, if they want to know more, they will they will know more, because wow.
But thing is, hey, dude. So the thing is, knowledge. You can never have enough knowledge,
Mm.
because something as makoti, you need to then teach your child, whether boy or girl, you
Mm.
need to teach your child to know that you marrying someone else's child, if you have a son, you marrying someone else's child, you're not marrying this person to become a slave.
Mm.
Because during that makoti transitioning, when I was learning all of this thing, now things started making sense.
Even to the
The reason why,
attire.
even the reason why even though Mama Zana wanted you to clean so much was that she was supposed to take you to umlungu wake, so that when she's old, then you can take over. Then the money stays in the family. And now
Okay.
it makes sense, like, oh, no wonder, you know, a good makoti wakes up at 4.
You wake up at 4
Wake up
a.m. in
at
the
4, you
morning to
know.
do all of this.
Exactly. Now it comes back and you're like, how sick is that? How sick is that, that you're expected to clean here, and after cleaning here, make breakfast in beds for the in-laws, then go BM70. Not because it's you taking care of their kid, but it's you then, you being introduced to Ubas or Umadam, as she works very hard. She's able to do it. Hence, they had to train you. Like, it blew my mind. I was like,
It's, yeah,
yeah.
no. It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. And so now, what would you suggest for someone who, Shem, our dog wants to join in
Supposed to be.
so desperately? um, for someone who is maybe having thoughts that maybe I might just be gifted, what would you say number one is the one common sign? I don't know if that exists, but the one common sign that portrays Wuti, you could just be.
Dreams, pay attention to your dreams. Be worried
Mm,
if you don't dream or you can't remember your dreams. But
mm,
the one place that our ancestors thrive in
mm,
is dreamland. That's the one place that they can take you almost anywhere and everywhere and show you bits and pieces of who they are, where they
mm,
come from, every now and then what's expected of you,
mm.
So the dream part for me, I think that's the best indicator to show or to see that man, something is not,
Something's not
something
aligning.
is not. I was in denial, even I got 2000. I was already working at my current job, and I'd have dreams, Nyana, and I'm like, hey, what is going on? I'm like, yo, hey, maybe it's the boredom plus you're secluded. I was
Mm.
like, maybe it's the boredom, maybe it's this. Until the passing of my uncle. And I think at that time they were like, no, we've had enough. We don't wanna negotiate with you.
This is your
So
life.
after that, the dreams became intense. And as a Anglican girl,
Mm.
I was like, consultation. Yo, bazothina
Bazothina
abantu,
abantu.
And I'm like, hi man. And then I spoke to one of my aunts. I was like, yo, this is what's going on. Yeah, there's this one dream, and this dream kept on recurring over and over. And I'm like, there's this one dream, and it's bothering my soul. It's bothering my soul. And she's like, have you thought of? I'm like, hi, I don't think I'm. So she's like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? I'm like, let me just. I go to this gogo and I consult. Hi, and for me, like leaving that consultation, it was a wow situation. Even things that I was not there for,
They came
they came
out.
out, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm.
And funny enough, I think it was the same month I had called in even to Metro FM, Taz.
Oh yes.
Yes, I called in. I was like, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I called in, she gave me a reading. So I'm sitting. Well, I'm on my way actually to Riavaya from where Gogo stays, right? And the words that Tez was saying over the
Lingering in your
phone,
mind.
plus what I've been hearing during this consultation, I was like, are they talking about me? No,
Are they sure?
no, it can't. It can't be. It can't be. And I went home. There's certain things that I asked Mama, about some of the things that they mentioned, and literally the answers were going back to what Gogo said, and I was like, yo, I was in denial. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't know what you want from me, but me, I'm a church
I'm not
person.
the one.
Yeah, I'm not the one. And yeah, I feel like patience. They were patient with me, Sham. They were patient because they would point dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams, and I'm like, hey, let me not, let me not. But yeah, I got to a point where I got comfortable with the other side of life. The other side of life, as a little Christian girl, you never want to see the other side of the wall, because
you've been taught so much that it's the
said,
forbidden world.
yes, and it's been tainted. And when now, the minute you go on social media, this, that is the first thing that you come into contact with, and barely you're gonna see it as disgusting. You're gonna see it as what is going on, and you're like, why would you want me to go to
be a witch?
the other side of life? And the craziest thing is then when you start then digging in deeper and deeper, you realize, oh, this is just a whole lot of gibberish. For me, how I take it as nowadays, a smoke screen. A lot of people end up just going to the smoke screen and turning. So the minute you see they say twala this, that, and the other, if it doesn't affect you, you're not gonna delve in deep. So Like in a sick, twisted world, it's like the ones that need the information will have to
We'll
work
have
twice
to.
as hard just to pass the smoke screen and go deeper and deeper and deeper. But if it's not about you, then you just, oh, okay. And then you just continue with life until the next time you need it. But I really hope our generation, we get to a point where we're not the 5 a.m. duku,
Mm,
mazaza, getting off an Uber, it's something
mm,
forbidden. We must embrace that sort of life. There's certain things that need answers, and unfortunately, as abantu abaphila inyama, you can't get to those answers.
mm.
Get get the assistance. Get the assistance. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes your success, it's like you doing one cleansing or you doing one Thanksgiving. That's it. Sometimes people, but it's like that. After that, everything is
Everything
fine.
is fine.
And our parents and grandparents can be a bit more honest because some of them are gatekeepers of secrets. They are
They're not telling us the
gatekeepers.
truth.
They're gatekeepers of secrets because there's so many things that in secret while we were together. And my grandmother, she would share with me. Now that I ask, people are like, no, I've never had
I've never heard
Forgive
of
us. I'm
such
like,
things. And it doesn't make sense to me. Actually, that thing, Yoguti, I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna ask you something that you know very much. You are very much well aware of it. And you claim to not know it when it could potentially be helping me and my life. And you are a parent. It's weird.
the one thing I've realized while growing up, people would rather deny something that hurts them than be honest with it because in their head, if they block it, if they block it out long enough,
It's
they
gonna
think it might
disappear.
not exist anymore. And unfortunately, in African spirituality, in terms of the calling, in terms of the gift, it does not disappear. It just comes back with
Mm.
another generation. It does not run away.
It comes back with
It comes back from
another
another
generation. Shucks.
generation, that during this situation, I'm there and starting to learn how mama had a gift.
Hmm.
And I didn't know because she died when I was so young. But the one thing I remember about her is that she would get a sign before a death in the family. She would
Mm.
get these horrible sores in the nose.
Mm.
Literally, when that sore if fall, someone
Someone
would
is
pass
gonna
away.
die.
And it was a normal thing. I'd know. She's like, "Ish, Nalisis," and I'm like, oh, in my head,
Mm.
stress, what is going to happen?
Mm. Sure. Okay, so do you think, like you're saying, okay, I think maybe you've already answered this question because I wanted to ask Guguti, do you think me saying I don't want it, I don't care what you're gonna do to me, if you want me to die, if you want me to be sick, so be it, but I don't want it. So I wanted to know, Guti, do you think that works?
Yes and no. The reason why
Mm.
I'm saying yes, it worked for it worked for our grandparents.
Mm.
It worked for them, but it comes back. It comes
Mm.
back. It can buy you a couple of years, yes,
Mm.
but it comes back. And the one thing that they master is no one wants to see their kids suffer.
Mm.
So they will be like, "Oh, you don't want it."
Sure.
You will see
But
the
not give
signs
up.
with your child. You will run faster than
Yeah.
anyone else. Anyone else, you will do because at a later stage, during bocha, it feels like people run away from it. But at a
Mm.
later stage, then all those guilty
Mm.
conscience, if I may, they come back. They come back. My paternal grandmother, took this prophet side and
Mm.
left the
The
Boma
other
side.
side.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm good, everything
Mm-hmm.
is fine. They came back in the 70s and they were like, let's call out the baby girl. And she's like, but
70s.
70. No, I'm far too old and I am sick.
Mm.
I'm sick. And remember what we were talking about earlier on about some some damages are not
Mm.
recoverable. During the process of her running away, they left her until she was old and she got cancer. Before her,
Mm.
there was no evidence of cancer in the family.
Mm.
She got cancer. And she would go chemotherapy. No, you've got cancer now, but because I get it when you decided not to do anything about it. And she's like, but I'm far too young. Like, I'm far too old, sorry. I'm far too old. Like, how do you expect me to
do all of that?
Yeah, and now when you go back home, but why didn't you do it then? She's like, but I had done this one. I'm like, no, they appreciate, but these ones are jealous now because
You and
that's how, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, Katli, it's a lot, and I guess maybe you're gonna have to come back at some point because I'm pretty sure we've left out a lot.
A lot.
But we're gonna move on to something I call Fun Five with Mushe.
Okay.
So you're gonna give me song of the week.
Yo, song of the week. I'll go for the controversial
Amalanga Wafat. The one with okay. I was about to shame you and be like, no, we don't do that.
Like the underdogs.
Wow, okay. And then your quote of the week, or quote that you live by.
A quote that I live by. You're greater than you think.
Okay. TikToker or YouTuber? Your favorite TikToker or YouTuber?
Yo,
No,
they are. I've got categories. Okay. Honestly, they are go-to for spiritual matters. They are go-to people for go see. They are go-to. When I just want to laugh, that lady Azaya, love it to bits. When I just want to laugh, I know if I
the one who has clouds.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she's the one that I can think at the top of my head, and then Lily, I'm into mukbangs as well.
Okay.
I'm hoping one day. So yeah, favorite YouTuber, but she's not a YouTuber, but she's got a YouTube channel. She's got a YouTube channel. The one person that, in my lowest of times, that I'd find comfort in her work and in her teachings.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know her.
Yeah, she is one woman that when you have questions, there is an episode there somewhere answering your questions somewhere.
Okay, and then the one skincare product that you swear by.
Greenpa.
Oh wow, guys! Wow.
Greenpa.
I'm gonna need the people who come on here to stop talking about Greenpa. Stop it, guys.
I promise you, Greenpa. I live by that soap.
If it's not Greenpa, it's Vaseline. Oh, guys, give me something. Give me Eucerin. Give me what? Something.
No,
I'm joking.
I'm borderline dry skinish. But Greenpa Bona has me. I don't wanna lie. Every other soap, I've got
it doesn't work.
So my skin is, with all my very mixtures, I've got a bit of freckles and face spots. So it's that my skin is that sensitive. So any other soap I get, and I'm not a person who has acne, so Greenpa. Okay. Maybe it was chosen for me, but
wow, okay. And then movie or series of the week?
Movie. Oh, the last movie I watched. People said it was scary, but it's not. Is it The Betrayal?
Probably. I've heard about it. Not something I would watch.
The Deliverance. Yeah, The Deliverance.
Oh, I think someone who came here said The Deliverance. I'm sorry, I checked it out on Netflix and I watched the 5 minutes and I was like, okay, sure, grand. No,
I think
I'm too much of a scaredy cat for anything that is going to be like, whoo.
And that genre of horror is the one that scares me the most, because I've always, even before I even had a whiff of African spirituality, I always had what if the whole possession situation is not what we thought it was, And then I got into the African spirituality space, and when you notice someone of regular influence and you play a recollection of a movie scene of an exorcism, well, not the crazy ones where they but the whole movement and the whole at some point,
It's your fun.
it's like you now start watching the possession situation and be like, but what if this person, it was another situation where he was in a trance advocate or something?
Mm.
Yes, and we can't deny the fact that they are bad losers. Hence how
Mm.
you always call ancestors of the night because if
Mm.
you don't, then the ones Bautwala will be there lurking and they'll be like, yeah, we're here,
Mm.
and once they're here and they make you dream of it by, and then you go by and then you patla uyamvusa, and
Mm.
with you then igniting that energy because hashambulona, if that person was a serial killer, best believe you have these funny, you understand. So now in my head, then it got me to that point. Oh, what if these are just madlos that need khotlamulo?
Mm.
That's food for thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
it got me to that point.
You get deep, girl. But yeah, man, thank you, Katli, for coming. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming. Thank you for having this conversation with me. I believe we definitely need to
part
have
two.
another one. We need to have another one. There's so much that we haven't gotten the chance to dwell into.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, we surely should soon.
I
Thank you
will.
so much.
Thank
Guys, thank you so much
you.
for watching. If you got this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let someone know that, girl, I watched an episode about African spirituality and I learned something. Check it out by sharing. Yeah, until next time, bye.
Bye.